Hello and welcome back to the Kalopsia podcast. I'm your host Sydney, and I'm so thankful that you guys came and clicked on this week's episode on a Sunday. So if you guys didn't realize, which I'm sure you did, there wasn't an episode that came out on Friday because I decided we should maybe switch it up on the release day for these episodes. When I think of Kalopsia, when I think of what we talk about, if you're new here, we often discuss either kind of like psychological topics, behavior topics, but often self-help topics and mindset shift topics. And that is often something that I feel like is week building. You know, it's kind of like a foundation. We're helping each other here build a foundation for our mindset and how we can kind of go out into the world, think more positively, and really act on the goals that we set for ourselves. And so when I think of what Kalopsia means and how it slots into our lives, right, I'm thinking it's more of a Sunday activity. You know, Sundays are about let's reflect on the day, let's think back, let's sit down with a cup of tea, let's grab our journal, let's think about it, let's reset our rooms, let's reset our homes. You know, it's not really a Friday activity. I had an epiphany. And Fridays to me are about having fun, meeting people, socializing. It's not really when you're going to sit and think about a week building topic. So let me know how you guys feel about the new day. It doesn't really have to do with any kind of metric. I just kind of decided, I was like, wait, it makes a little bit more sense for it to be on a Sunday. So the episodes are now going to come out on Sundays. I hope that doesn't disturb your guys' flow to the listening of the podcast, but I hope that you maybe think it's a positive. Let me know. Let me know what you think. But this week, I wanted to talk about something that's been toiling around in my mind, which is the wealth mindset. Right. And so I actually stumbled upon this podcast episode with Grace Rosa, who was once on the Love Island UK show. She went on 2 consecutive seasons, one on her own season and one in the All-Stars, where a lot of people who have already been on the show go back. And she went on a podcast with her now boyfriend's sister, who's also a business owner, and it's called something about Bish or Bish Please, something like that, because their last name is Bish, like fish but with a B. And in this podcast episode, it was very centered around kind of the business mindset and almost just what an entrepreneur's mind is like. And I feel like I kind of used to listen to a lot of these podcasts, like these types of podcasts, and I kind of fell off. I stopped listening to them, but seeing her face, I was like, you know what, let me click on this. And it was so insightful, and it got my wheels turning once again on the kind of entrepreneurship mindset, kind of that type of consumption pattern in my media. And so that kind of led me onto a few different podcasts. There is this one woman, Grace Beverly, who is also a British business owner, and she has a lot of people on her podcast, business owners as well as entrepreneurs of many forms. I recently listened to an episode where she was talking with the owner of, I think it was a skincare brand. It was a skincare brand. I'm going to put it up on the screen because I really can't remember her name right now. But she was this graduate. She started her business out of college, and she got acquired early on. And, you know, all of this is kind of an extended backstory into how I found this other podcast, right? But I ended up stumbling upon this podcast called the Jamie C podcast, which is all about wealth mindset. It's all about how you can manifest more wealth into your life. And I feel like this is something that I wanted to bring to you guys because I found it so insightful, so unbelievably insightful, and kind of described and presented to me in a way that I'd never thought of. If you guys haven't listened to this episode or this podcast and this topic interests you, I really, really do recommend the Jamie C podcast because she does a phenomenal job. She has a registered nurse that comes on. I believe she's a registered nurse. She also also has some a background in therapy as well, and she works with clients. It's amazing, and they really do bring the neuroscience aspect into the manifestation side of it all. And I kind of wanted just to come on here and share what I learned, if this can help you guys too. I just really appreciate this mindset shift, but I want to give credit where it's due. But with that, I want us to think about what a wealth mindset really is. What do you think about when you think of, okay, yeah, I'm going to take on a wealth mindset. I'm going to call in more money, call in more income. I am going to make more, feel more comfortable, spend more comfortably. I'm going to put aside more money into my savings. I'm going to travel more. I'm going to do all this. I'm going to do all that, right? A lot of that is centered around the number. It's centered around, okay, I'm going to earn more. I'm going to earn this amount. I'm going to call this amount in. I'm going to manifest this amount. I'm going to use the law of assumption, the law of attraction. I'm going to say, I'm going to act as if. I'm going to act as if I already have it. Act as if that money is already mine. It already belongs to me, right? And I feel like these are all steps that even I myself have gone down. I've gone down the path of, doing the law of assumption. I've gone down the path of even doing scripting. I had a scripting book where I was, writing in my journal, even one of my manifestations was, this podcast is doing really, really well. Every single day I see growth. Every single day I see growth. I am full of abundance, in wealth abundance, laughter abundance, love abundance, 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 abundance. And what that does is takes you 50% of the way. No, maybe even 75% of the way there. I think there is great value in that side of the wealth mindset. There is great value in that side of any goal that you want to achieve, anything that you want to manifest into your life. Being very clear about it, writing it all down, making that vision board, getting very, very, very specific about what it is that you want to bring into your life. That is a huge, huge part of getting what you want and being able to do that. The other big part is taking action, like in the law of attraction, taking action towards that goal that you want to make. Placing yourself in environments where you could possibly meet the right people that will help you make that goal possible. Maybe taking action into applying to jobs that might make that income more possible. Maybe really taking action into exploring other streams of income for you to really make that goal, that number possible. Now, what this Jamie C podcast discussed that I had not given enough thought to is how impactful your limiting beliefs are, and thus how important it is to focus on your capacity to receive. So something interesting that she talked about in that podcast is they have something that they term something along the lines of the wealth thermostat, right? And so when you think about a thermostat, you have that, this is the example that they gave. You have a thermostat in your apartment, right? You are setting the temperature to 70 degrees. And so once the temperature goes above 70 degrees, that thermostat, it's going to bring it right back down. If you are below that thermostat, then it's going to stay off until you are able to get that income or get that temperature right back up, right? But the key part here is that it must stay at that threshold. It must stay at that level, whatever you set the temperature to. And I loved this example because when you think of what we talked about in the limiting beliefs episode, when it comes to self-sabotage, a lot of the time we feel like we are deserving of one certain experience. We are deserving of a certain type of love. We are deserving of a certain number in income. We are deserving of a certain amount of opportunity. And whether or not you consciously believe in that, your limiting beliefs will keep you there. And so it's so important to confront those limiting beliefs. And the science behind it is that a lot of our limiting beliefs are set by the age of 7. So when you really, really think about that and think about the impact that they are making on your life subconsciously, it's no rocket science to really imagine, okay, wow, these limiting beliefs, this wealth thermostat, these limits that I have subconsciously put upon myself are actually impacting my capacity to rise above them today. So if we're going down the path of, I'm going to call in more income, I'm going to set up a job, I'm going to get a new job, I'm going to make $80K. I'm going to make, or I'm going to make 30K if you're coming from 10K. You know, whatever that number is to you is subjective. It's whatever is more to you. But say that you want to make 50K more than you're currently making. You're calling it in, you're taking the action, you're asking for that raise, you're getting a promotion, you're doing all of this, you're doing that, you're doing this. But then something that I've noticed is that people reach this lifestyle creep. That's the term that I've seen it called, is the lifestyle creep. And what that means, and this also goes hand in hand with this wealth thermostat, right? When you think about when you're in that room and the temperature goes to 72 because it's hot in the room, right? The thermostat's going to kick in the AC is going to bring it back down to 70. When you hit that lifestyle creep, it's almost as though your personal wealth thermostat is saying, okay, I'm not comfortable holding this amount of money. Now I have all this money. I asked for that raise. I got that manager position. I got that leadership position. I got that TED Talk opportunity. I got acquired by this new big company. You know, I'm making moves. I've called in the money. The money has come. The money is here. It's rushing in, but I don't feel comfortable subconsciously holding that. I don't feel comfortable actually having more. I'm used to going into my bank account and seeing it be a certain number. I'm used to checking here and seeing below the certain number. And so what happens when you have this lifestyle creep, which is kind of a subconscious type of spending, is where you spend and you spend and you spend because you have so much more money, you have so much more influx that you are like, wow, I've got to spend it because I don't know when I'm going to get more. So I've got to spend it. I've got to seize this opportunity. I've got to set up that new app that I said I was going to set up. Or actually, that's not a good example because that's also an investment, and you know, maybe that will actually like generate some income. But let's say that I'm going to buy 5 luxury bags with this new 6-figure income that I've got. Maybe I am going to book a cruise where I'm spending 5K, bam, down, just 5K, just drop it like that. Maybe I am purchasing a luxury coffee table book that set me back $2,000. This may sound ridiculous, but this is what happens to a lot of people when it comes to the lifestyle creep, and it may not be this dramatic of an example, right? But something to note here is that it is your nervous system at work, because the Jamie C podcast explained it so well. And they basically looked at this wealth thermostat and described it almost in terms of the nervous system, which is that your subconscious, your nervous system wants to stay within their comfort zone. When you push yourself out of your comfort zone, your nervous system is going to activate a certain degree of fight or flight. And so when your nervous system goes into fight or flight, when you see this influx of money, you're like, oh my gosh, I've never had this much. I don't know what to do with it. How do I hold it all? What do I do? Then it's actually going to make you spend it so that you are able to come back down to baseline, so that you are able to come back to that comfort zone when it comes to your income, that number that you're used to seeing. And so this is what they call the lifestyle creep. You spend more than you earn, you spend more than you can, and you subconsciously place yourself back where you were, or even worse than you were before you had this new influx of money. And so what do we do to tackle this? You might ask. I asked myself, I was like, okay, what can we do? And I want to do a little tangent here, because something that has occurred to me, or something, I made a TikTok about this a few weeks ago on one of my many hidden accounts. And I was kind of discussing the topic of if it's manifestation or if it's silly spending, right? I kind of asked the question, I begged the question of like, okay, so I'm being very illusionary or unclear here. Let me go back. So I am on ThreadUp, right? Imagine me tapping on my phone. I'm on the app ThreadUp, right? And ThreadUp, if you guys don't know, it's an online thrifting platform that I am obsessed with. I have been a consistent member since maybe like 2021, I want to say. I don't know. I love ThreadUp, but you know, they got me this one time because I go on the app and they have this new feature. They had an update to their app, and it looks beautiful. Even the website, they had a whole technological infrastructure revamp, which I love. But with it came this new feature, right, where you can click buy for me later if available. So a lot of things get put into a cart is the way that it works. A lot of things get put into people's carts, and you can have it in your cart for up to 3 hours. And this is not sponsored, obviously. If you put it into your cart, that means nobody else can put it in their cart. You can like the item, but that's kind of it. You have to check back in 3 hours. If that person didn't buy it, then it's available to put into your cart, where it can stay for up to 3 hours and then it will get kicked out. So at this point, I'm looking at it and it says, okay, it's in this person's cart, buy for me if unavailable. And so I click on the button. It says step 1 of 2, right? And keep in mind, this bag that I am looking at, I've been wanting it for a long time. I've been wanting it for maybe like 4 years. And it's not even a luxury item. It's $150 on the market in store. And this version of it was like $87, right? And so I'm like, what a great deal for what I wanted. I really wanted this bag. Yeah, like I really wanted this bag. This is perfect. Like, here it is. And so I click buy for me if unavailable. Step 1 of 2, right? I go to click to step 2 because, again, I'm novel to this concept. It's a brand new feature on the app. I anticipated a new page saying, you know, this is how much it will be with tax. This is how much it will be with shipping. This is how much it will be, like the total like cost breakdown. I go to hit step 2. And it says step 1 of 2. I'm going to go to step 2. Step 2 is just a page saying purchase has been made. Order has been placed. And I'm like, wait a minute. Purchase has been placed? What do you mean? I thought I was going to step 2. I didn't mean to purchase it, but it turns out that I couldn't cancel it because of this new feature. You can't cancel an order even though it was freshly placed. I tried to call them. I tried to say, you know, like I didn't mean to place this order. I left a voicemail. And so the bag is mine. And I'm like, did I manifest this bag or did I waste my money? And is this Confessions of a Shopaholic? And so that was the whole idea behind this TikTok, right? But it's something that has actually been something that I've been thinking about, because when you think back to this wealth thermostat, how do you bring it back up? You know, my instinct is to say, well, maybe I should spend more money, right? Act as if I have more money, so then I should spend more money kind of thing. But I want to propose 2 little subcategories here. On one end, we don't want to set ourselves further back. We don't want to have this lifestyle creep within the lifestyle that we already have that we are trying to get out of, right? So we need to find a happy medium here between not acting from a place of lacking and not acting from a place of, oh my gosh, I'm scarcity mindset. I can't spend money on anything. I cannot enjoy my life at all. All I have money for is my necessities. We have to not act from a place of lacking. We have to find our way out of that side, out of the mindset. Okay, I don't have anything, whatever. But on the other side, we don't want to spend too much of our money. Now, I want to propose something that I saw on TikTok, which was again, I'm forgetting the concept. I saw it in passing. It's this one creator. She does a lot of advice on kind of wealth mindset as well. She does real estate, I believe, is what she really does. But then she's also in her music career. She has a business that she's launching called Make Girls Richer, or something like that. I will put her name on the screen. But basically, she's doing a month where she is spending like no limits month. It's her birthday month. She's spending money with absolutely no price tag. She's just acting as though she's balling, really just calling in that abundance mindset, right? But something that she discussed in her TikTok was how impactful it could be to use this kind of concept, but within our capacities, just to kind of break the glass on this lacking mindset, this lack of abundance mindset. And so she said you can have a no limits week, you know, a no limits day, a no limits hour. And I loved this concept, because how much damage can you really do within an hour? We can make it an in-person hour, you know, not an hour online, because you can do so much damage with that. But let's say that you decide to place yourself on a street. You know, if you're in Boston, drop yourself in Newbury Street. Just browse. You have 1 hour to just enjoy your maybe you set aside $200. I mean, it's supposed to be no limits, but really, if the situation is so dire, maybe you could set up a slight limit. And I did enjoy this concept because of how it kind of allows our nervous systems, this wealth thermostat, to kind of rise, to expand. But the bottom line here is that what we are really, really focusing is on exercising our receiving muscle, exercising that wealth thermostat. We are trying to expand our subconscious's capacity to receive. And so one of the greatest things that I've really been loving has been wealth subliminals. I recently had a great opportunity come up for me to start earning more and get a lot of the things in my career that I have been really searching for and really wanting to have that didn't feel possible. And I've been listening to these wealth subliminals for a couple months now, pretty consistently. I'd say I listen to it 5 out of 7 mornings when I do my morning pages. And I've been loving it. You have to be really consistent though. And I would do your research. I would do my research if I were you about who you are listening to, because it's subliminals. People can say anything within them. You know, you don't always know that the message that is within them is really aligned with what you want. I think I'm also going to make my own. So maybe keep your eyes peeled on the page for that, because I might just try to make a subliminal myself. And then maybe you guys, I'm a trustworthy source. Let me know if you would like that. I could definitely make some as well. But I have been listening to that. And then also something that the Jamie C podcast suggested is journaling. And we know how impactful journaling is. A lot of you guys probably watching this found me because of my commonplace notebook and my journal ecosystem episode. I love journaling. I'm obsessed with journaling, and journaling is basically therapy, especially if you don't have healthcare or if you don't have a therapist. It is very, very good. And so I love journaling, and I want to leave you guys with a few prompts to kind of get to the root of these self-limiting beliefs when it comes to our capacity to internalize more wealth, because when it really boils down to it, it really is something that is malleable. It is something that has to do with our personal mindset. Why is it so easy for these wealthy people to, lose everything and make it all back and make even more money and even more money and even more money? It's because they believe that they deserve it. They believe that they deserve that income. They deserve that money. Why do men always get so many jobs that they are unqualified for? They believe that they deserve it, and so they get it. And then you look at people who grow up with low income, or they grow up with not a lot of money and not a lot of opportunities, then they don't believe that they deserve those opportunities. They don't believe that they deserve to make more money. So it really is a direct attack, or we need to directly hone our focus on our subconscious limiting beliefs when it comes to these wealth mindset shifts. Now, I'm not really supposed to reread my morning pages journal, but I'm going to do it just for you guys because I wrote some of these prompts in here. Also, I really recommend these notebooks from Muji. They are my favorite because look how the pages are so thin. And so you really get a lot of pages in such a compact space. And it's also malleable, which I feel like is I don't know why I feel like it takes up less space than a hard notebook, but I also never take it out of the house, basically, ever. It just goes from my room to this room to back to my room, back to this room, back to my room, basically, because this is the room that gets the light. Anyway, I digress. I'm just rambling now, but a couple of the prompts that I came up with are the following. The work I do deserves more. Making more money does not take away from my purity nor my humility. Abundance engulfs me and walks alongside me. Money flows to me effortlessly. Abundance is my birthright. My success is inevitable. Well, I hope that resonated with at least one of you. I am super, super glad and happy that I found that Jamie C podcast. It appears as though they really just focus on the whole wealth mindset. So if that is something that interests you, if that is an area of your life that you want to expand upon, I really recommend that episode or that podcast because they know what they're talking about. They work with clients. I feel like I've got a lot to learn from them, and I feel like you could too. So that was a great discovery this month, podcast wise, and feel free to let me know what you thought of this week's episode. Let me know if you agree, disagree, if you've listened to the Jamie C podcast, what you thought, and maybe any kind of shifts it invoked in you. I would love to see that. Also, I always am forgetting to mention that I've kind of switched up the podcast, or I've switched up the Instagram for the podcast at Kalopsia Pod on Instagram, where I want it to be a place, you guys, where we all take little snapshots of our day, whether it's your morning coffee that came out so good, or if you see the light hitting a plant in a certain way. Any form of beauty, of regular day-to-day banal beauty, or banal, how do Americans say it? Banal beauty? Banal, I think, is the way that Americans say it. In French, it's banal. So I don't know how you would describe that, but anyway, I want it to be a slice of Kalopsia. And if you guys want the reminder, Kalopsia means the delusion of thinking things are more beautiful than they really are. And so that's how I want that Instagram to feel. And when you guys take those pictures, please tag me or send me the picture in a DM, and I want to add it to the page so that it becomes just a conglomeration of, daily snapshots of small things that are beautiful in our day-to-day lives. And I feel like it will kind of create the momentum for gratitude for us all, and how fun that we all get to contribute to it. So a couple of examples. I did one on I randomly was reading a book, and it totally matched the color that was in the bus, and I was like, wow, like Kalopsia in color. And then one time I was on a run, and I never took this route, and I was so thirsty, you guys. It was so hot, and I decided to run in a new area. I wasn't sure where I was. I wasn't sure if there was going to be a water fountain. There typically wasn't on my usual route, and then I stumbled upon a water fountain, and I was like, oh my gosh, Kalopsia, like, this is absolutely beautiful. Like, I'm obsessed with this. Like, this water fountain is stunning. And so then even my chia pudding, I'm like, oh my God, this chia pudding is so good. This is such Kalopsia in food. And so you guys kind of get the gist. It's a free flowing word, and we can use it to kind of push ourselves to, enjoy things more. And so I really, really encourage you guys to post those. Send me a picture even. You don't have to post it yourself, but just send me a picture and I'll maybe tag you. I'll say, like, from whoever. And I think it could be a really fun community builder. And let me know if you watched until the end. Comment down below, I am worthy. Or comment down below, my success is inevitable, with a star. Yeah. That's the comment to let me know that, well, I keep hitting my chin, to let me know that you watched until the end. But anyway, I am babbling off now. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to reach out. It's at Kalopsia Pod, Kalopsia Pod on Instagram and TikTok. And it's at Sydney Jotita, SYDNEY DJOTITA. And that is it from me. I will see you guys next Sunday, say it with me, Sunday. And yeah, I hope that you guys enjoy this new schedule. And I hope to see you next week. Thank you.